came out and said Social Security is going to be facing cuts in the future because of the current president, President Trump. And needless to say, Twitter out there is going crazy. Social media is going out there crazy and posting it and saying the mainstream media is lying and misinformation and all the rest of it, which is correct in this case. But then they double down and say even crazier things about Social Security that have been proven wrong many, many times. So we're going to talk about that today. And this is also a live Q&A. If you're watching this right now, it's a live Q&A. I'll talk about the reality of your Social Security checks going for the future and answer any and all of the questions you have of all things Social Security, retirement, Medicare, Medicaid, survivor benefits, disability benefits. I already got a bunch of questions. I've also got some people that sent me some videos, video questions. So I'll get into those as well. Okay, so what are we talking about here today? In terms of the misinformation. So this was posted on X, aka Twitter X, whatever the case may be. So CBS News Los Angeles is telling their audience that cuts are coming soon, which is correct. Social Security cuts are coming soon. All the regular viewers to my channel know the reality. And they say it's because of Trump. I'll show the video here in a little bit, but literally blaming Trump. Once depleted, President Trump budget law means Social Security benefits will no longer be paid at the full rate. All right, so this is the short little segment. It's about a minute or so. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Also, big cuts to Social Security benefits could be on the horizon for some Americans. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says dual income couples may see cuts of $18,000 per year, and single earner couples could lose more than $13,000. The drop is because of a projected depletion to a trust fund. Now, once depleted, President Trump's budget law means Social Security benefits will no longer be paid at the full rate.
Okay, Social Security, because of Trump's law. Okay, that is 100% incorrect. I'll get into what the Committee for a Responsible Budget actually says, and I think she's just adding two sentences together to come up with something that's not correct. But in response to this individual Wall Street apes, and this has been going all over on social media. It's not only this guy. It has to do with the reason the cuts are coming. It has to do with the Democrats flooding Social Security with illegals and Congress using Social Security as their personal piggy bank. All right, so this is 100% misinformation. So they fight misinformation with even worse misinformation. You cannot get Social Security, retirement benefits, disability benefits if you're not in this country legally. How do I know? I've taken hundreds of thousands of retirement benefits and survivor benefits and disability benefits, and you have to prove that you're in this country legally, U.S. citizenship, green card, whatever the case may be. And if you don't, then you're not going to get it. That is done, done, and done. And in terms of the money being stolen by politicians, yes, the regular budget, but Social Security Trust Fund is under a separate thing. A separate trust fund, and that is being monitored by the Social Security trustees, and that is monitored every single year. And all you have to do is look at the trustees report, and you can see all the money is still there. If you're currently receiving Social Security benefits, then you are receiving money from that from that trust fund. And yes, it's savings. A trust fund is savings, so that money is going to run out in a few more years. The Social Security trustees just came out and said it's going to be about 2033, the Committee for a Responsible Budget actually cuts it earlier and increases the cut. But here's where this CBS local affiliate messed up. So here's the first line. It says the Social Security and Medicare trust funds are only a little more than 7 years from insolvency. Is correct. So it's going to run out of money. The cupboard is going to run out of money. So that means the only money that goes out into your paycheck, into your Social Security check, is how much is received that particular year from people working. And because it's not about demographics, it's not about birth rate, it's about we're not making the money that we're supposed to be making. That's been like that since the 1980s. All the money is going up to the top. But anyway, the trustees report said it's going to be insolvent based on projections from the program's own trustees in combination with our estimates. of the impact of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, OPA. The law dictates that when the trust funds deplete their reserves, payments are limited to incoming revenues. For the Social Security Retirement Program, we estimate that means a 24% cut in late 2032 after the enactment of the Big Beautiful Bill. So the trustees report, I've been reporting to everybody, it's about 23%, and it's going to be about 2033. Based on the Big Beautiful Bill, it's going to be cut more and sooner. But here's the thing that they messed up. So they were taking up, the CBS was talking about, read this and says, okay, this is a law. And then they read the next little sentence and said, the law, but it's not this law that dictates people are going to use, trust fund. It's the Social Security law. It's Social Security cannot borrow money. The federal government borrows money from Social Security, but they pay back in interest, but Social Security cannot borrow money. That's the law. Social Security can only pay out what they receive in. So if they receive in, $1,000 of your check and your check is $1,200, you're only getting $1,000. And that's the way the law is written. So it's not the Big Beautiful Bill law that's written that way. It is the Social Security law. And that's where they've kind of messed up. So the very end of it, policymakers pledging not to touch Social Security are implicitly endorsing these deep benefit cuts. So anybody that says, I'm not going to touch Social Security, fine. That means they're going to let it just die. That's like fireman says, hey, I'm not going to put that house on fire. That's already on fire. I'm not going to, add more fuel to the fire. I'm just going to let the house burn down. If you hear a politician say, I'm not going to touch Social Security, that's exactly what they're saying, is we'll just let the thing burn down because it's already on fire. So they need to come up with something to get this done immediately, if not sooner. And the Social Security trustees report said about in 90 checks, there'd be about 23% cuts in about 2033. Based on the Big Beautiful Bill, we're looking at about 2032 and about 24% cuts. So it is going to be cut more than normal. And what are the solutions? The current DOGE leader of the Social Security Administration, the commissioner, had his ideas when he was recently asked.
Security, Frank Bisignano. Here's what he had to say. There are millions of people getting ready to retire in the next 10 years. What do you tell them about their ability to receive Social Security down the road? Are they going to be able to get it?
Yes. We have no intent to do anything but ensure it endures forever. Everybody's committed to Social Security for the rest of time and running the department in a way that ensures we optimize the efficiency, the high quality of service.
Help me out here. I'm not a math person, right? $1.5 trillion in payouts each year. The math ain't mathing in 10 years. We're going to be short of cash. So how do you make that work?
There's lots of senators that I've heard from that have all ideas about how to fix it. So we need to just go to work on how to fix it.
Don't you think they would have come up with that by now if it were as simple as talking about it?
Well,
I mean, those numbers...
there's a big difference between talking and doing. You have a doing administration.
Okay, so heard that about a few weeks ago. Okay, all kinds of ideas. Yes, there's all kinds of ideas to fix it. It's been around forever. Social Security trustees have been telling us for 40 years it needs to be fixed. One day it's going to run out, and we're approaching that day. There's all kinds of ideas to fix it. And now we know, someone said the quiet part out loud. The Treasury Secretary said how they're going to fix it. How are they going to fix Social Security? Well, let's hear him.
In a way, it is a backdoor for privatizing Social Security. Like Social Security is a defined benefit plan paid out that, to the extent that if all of a sudden these accounts grow and you have in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for your retirement, then that's a game changer too. In a way, it is a backdoor for privatizing Social Security.
Okay, so this is the same type of thing they tried under Bush, George Bush, many years ago. They tried to kind of set up these private accounts in order to a backdoor to privatize Social Security. They tried the front door to privatize Social Security, where they just gave it out to their buddies on Wall Street, but the American public kind of slapped it. We slapped them on their hands on that one. They tried to do this backdoor before, and we stopped it before, and now they're trying another backdoor way to privatize Social Security. So Social Security privatized is Medicare is privatized. Medicare Advantage, you've heard Medicare Advantage, that's essentially privatized Medicare. So we're talking about maybe Social Security Advantage plans, to where you have to go to whatever broker or Wall Street person and say, hey, it's time for me to retire, or I need to file for disability, or I just lost a deceased spouse, and can I go ahead and get my money? And they'll have to run through all these different hoops, and needless to say, they're going to be betting that money on Wall Street and insider trading and all this other kind of stuff that, yeah, I was around during several recessions, little depressions, the dot-com bubble, the real estate bubble, and people would come in and they would file for retirement benefits, and they said, hey, that's okay, that's great, but I thought I had a whole bunch more in savings, and an IRA or 401k, but because of the economy, I lost it all. And if you've got another 10, 20, 30, 40 years to make up that, then that's fine. But if you're getting close to your 10, 15, 20 years from retirement, you just might not be able to make that up. And the reason they're trying to privatize Social Security, the reason they're not going to any type of ideas that will actually fix Social Security, is because of who's going to have to pay for it. Us, the regular people that work and pay into Social Security, we pay 6.2% of every dollar we make, we pay it into Social Security. If you're making over $176,100, you stop paying into Social Security after that amount. So someone that makes $500,000 a year only pays about 2.1% into Social Security. So is Trump at fault for the cuts coming? Yes. Is Biden at fault for the cuts coming? Yes. Is Obama at fault? Yes. Is Clinton at fault? Yes. Is Bush at fault? Yes. Every president, every politician, essentially for the last 40 years is at fault for the inevitable decline, the cut and benefits of Social Security. And the Social Security trustees have said for decades, for 40 years, the day's coming, we have to do it, we have to fix it, we have to fix it. They've been saying that for 40 years. And now guess what? Time is no longer on our side. And that's kind of one of the intents of these politicians, to kind of run out the clock, and we become desperate. And then once we get our 23% cut, then they're going to come in with their white horse, and their white horse is, hey, we just need to give it over to the billionaires. And that's kind of the point. So Trump is responsible for it. Biden actually hurt it a lot more. He tried to get rid of the cap on Social Security. There was going to be kind of a middle class thing. So between 176,100 and 400,000, you didn't have to pay, the extra, the full 6.2, but at $400,000 and over, then those people have to pay the full 6.2%. And that was a program that Biden attempted to pass, but he didn't. He wasn't able to. He failed. So we have to blame him because he just didn't get it done. Actually, he made it worse because he passed the Social Security Fairness Act, which is going to cost the Social Security Administration about over $200 billion over the next 10 years, by giving out essentially extra money to retired government employees, city employees, state employees, some federal employees, county employees. So that was actually supported by President Trump and pretty much all members of Congress. That was a bipartisan bill that was passed and made into law. So that's going to hurt actually everybody a whole bunch more. Okay. So that is the reality of it. Is the current president at fault? Yes, and they all are. I mean, Trump has been in office longer than Biden was. Trump was president for 4 years. He didn't do anything to solve Social Security. Neither did Biden. Biden made it worse. So we need to get our politicians, and we need to get them to do something to actually get this thing done. Okay, let's get into some questions here. Well, it looks like they're going to or try to privatize Social Security. They just couldn't wait to get their hands on our trust fund. That is a fact. And that's what's kind of ironical, is the fact that these same people who spout this line that it's all fake money, all the money was stolen. these are the same people that turn around and says, okay, yeah, wait a second, it wasn't stolen. There's trillions of dollars there, and we really like to get our hands on those trillions of dollars. And wait a second, didn't you just say 5 seconds ago all the money is gone? It's all fake. It's all IOUs. Oh yeah, but that's just to convince people to go ahead and give it to me because I know it's real money. So it's ironical. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it is now. The first time my Department of Children and Family info went to span, info was correct, but is this strange? Yeah, I'm not sure. I had, there was another question that popped up there. Someone said their check has been messed up, and then the Social Security Administration looked at it, double checked it, and they said, oops, they made a mistake, which happens. So they just need to rectify it. So the person that left that question earlier, if Social Security has said they made a mistake and paid you not enough or too much or whatever the case may be, make sure they rectify it and giving you retroactive benefits that you're entitled to. So, Paul, I really appreciate Dr. Weir's perspective on issues involving Social Security. He doesn't exaggerate, straight to the point. Yeah, all politicians, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, if they had done their job at any time over the last 40 years, we wouldn't have to be sitting here talking about this stuff. And the fact that if they have actually supported Social Security, I wouldn't have to be here anyway, because you would just call Social Security and someone would pick up the phone and they'd answer your questions and you get all the benefits you're eligible for and entitled to and need. But that's not happening, so that's for why I do these live Q&As. So, and this happened before Trump. Well, he was president and Social Security cuts were happening. Fewer and fewer employees. Elon Musk came in, Doge came in, they fired thousands of people. So they're just another barriers to prevent you from getting your Social Security benefits. But we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. We make sure that you actually get your Social Security benefits. Dr. Weir, did you hear about busiest and probable privatization of Social Security? Yep, I got you there, didn't I? Yep, got it. There is a wrongly channeled broadcasting. People are going to get a $2,000 check and they are in the mail. They do not know what they are saying. Yeah, I was going to do another video on this one. It's the $2,400 check, and yeah. All right, this is to all you social media people out there. I know the people that are doing this. I sometimes do kind of a clickbaity thing because there's misinformation out there. I did this when the Doge guy, Leland Dudek, took over Social Security. He was just kind of a pawn, and he was saying all kinds of crazy stuff, and then crazy stuff went out there into social media land. And in order to get to those people to kind of calm them down, a lot of people are stressed about everything. I had to do a couple little, kind of clickbaity titles and thumbnails in my YouTube so I can get to those people and say, hey, okay. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay type of situation. So I understand, the nature of YouTube and all that. You got to be kind of clickbaity sometimes. It's unfortunate. But come on. When you do this on social media, when you talk about the $2,400, basically what it is, there's a couple of, Bernie Sanders has it, was it John Larson, Senator Larson has it, and I 100% agree with it. These are bills to smash the cap, essentially, to get rid of the cap. So everybody, even if you're making $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, you're paying the same percentage as us, regular schmoes. Perfect. Plus, in those bills, it also says, hey, the people that are not making a whole bunch in Social Security that need that help, we're going to give them some extra money, a couple of $100 extra a month. That's $2,400 a year. And that's what it's talking about. $2,400 a year. Great. Support the bill, get it passed and stuff like that. But, what they're saying is, hey, you're going to get $200. You're going to get an extra $2,000 and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's only a bill. I don't want to start singing here, but it's only a bill. Until it gets passed, you have to kind of moderate yourself, because what happens, social media people out there, you're hurting everybody else. Because when I worked at Social Security, we used to have these internet myths that happen quite often. And what would happen is you get thousands of people that would come down to Social Security that day, or they would call to Social Security and say, hey, I just heard I'm going to get a $1,000 check and free ice cream and unicorns for life, and I want my free unicorn today. And you say, yeah, that's just an internet myth, and then they'd argue a little while, but, and then they'd go on. And the next person would come up and they said they want their free ice cream and $200, and you'd tell them. But that makes it worse for everybody else. So people that were in the office that day looking for disability benefits, they just lost their job, just become disabled. There's someone that lost their spouse or their parent and there's survivor benefits. Someone's looking for retirement and wants to start their Medicare. That is delaying everything for everybody else. So come on, I understand you're trying to get clicks and build your channel and stuff like that, but please, please, please do it responsibly. Do it responsibly. And I get it. I do. Sometimes I push the line and a little clickbaity, but I try to grab people, and then, I have to feed the algorithm. I have to feed the beast. So regular viewers to my channel know that, okay, all right, Ed went a little bit too far on this one, and but his intention is to reach out to as many people. So so once they change the algorithm and they, then I'll stop doing that. But yeah, anyway. Can we just skip the next 3 years and just vote now? Well, the election is coming up pretty soon. Yeah. What would happen if your CDR letter got lost in the mail? You never received it. Would Social Security contact you? Thanks for all you do. You're welcome. If your CDR, did it actually get lost in the mail, or did your local Social Security office run out of budget? Because CDR, here's my philosophy on CDRs, continuing disability reviews. That's what people on Social Security disability and Social Security disability, that's what they get every now and then, every year, 3 years, 7 years, whatever the case may be, depending on your particular case, your disability, to confirm that you're still disabled. So it's called a continuing disability review. Okay. And how it works is that Congress, this is a special allocation from Congress, separate allocation, that says, okay, Social Security, you're going to review 500,000 disability cases to make sure these people are still disabled this year. 500,000. That's it. Don't go 500,001, because we used to get hit on the, slapped on the wrist as like, Ed, your office went, one over. What's going on? Or our office was always perfect. But anyway, so it's a budget type thing. So if your CDR, your continued disability review time is now or last month or 2 months and you didn't get anything, then that's just probably because your office already felt their quota, or they don't have more for a budget or something like that. So my philosophy is FCF. Forget about it. Your CDR, forget about it. Plan for it and stuff. I've got a bunch of question and answers on my website, which is, let me go ahead and pull it up here, mygovexpert.com, and you can click on there on the CDRs, the continuing reviews, and there's tons of questions and answers about all things continuing disability reviews. But forget about it until you actually get it, until you actually get the package in the mail, complete it, make copies, and then send it in and forget about it again. Because even if you send it in and if they ran out of the budget or they filled their quota, then you're not going to get anything. So, but if you moved or something like that, you just lost, you actually think you got the CDR letter, then reach out to them and say, hey, did you all send me anything? Or, did you already fill your quota for this quarter, and you run out of money, and we'll see you next year type thing. It doesn't hurt. So Dave, everything is so messed up and depressing. When does toxicity stop, please? Yes. Once we fix it. Yes. Once we fix it. That's it. Yeah. So we'll stop talking about the impending doom of Social Security when we actually fix it. And what's crazy about it, there's, the commissioner of Social Security was right. There are all kinds of ideas. If you look into my description, it'll put I put down the link to the Social Security actuary's spreadsheet where he checks out all the ideas and says, hey, this idea, if it's implemented, it'll fix this percentage. If it, so you can get a couple of third graders out there with a calculator and add up this one and this one and this one. Oh, there's 100% fix right there. Now you need to have the political will to actually do it. That's the difficult problem. So Nancy, I do not get 18,000 from Social Security now. Doubt it will be that high in 17 years. No, that's what they're talking about is cuts in terms of a higher, if you have someone pretty much, maxing out, a couple, kind of the max you can get from Social Security is gone to over $5,000. If you paid the high over 35 years and you wait till you get your full delayed retirement credits of 70, you can make it over $5,000 a month from Social Security. So if you got a couple doing that, it's $10,000 and 23%. So I think that's how they figured it out. Yeah, most people aren't in that situation. So I wish you were, but might not be the case. All right, I've only got 3 video questions today. A couple of them is from the same young man. So let's watch those and see what we have here.
Hi, Ed. Kevin, Portland, Oregon. Question follow-up from the other day. I am self-employed doing gig work, anywhere from just a few hours to sometimes more than 120 hours, depending on the month. I may go over the 23.4 limit for the annual, and I started retirement in March, so not the full year, early at 62. I'm wondering about what reporting I need to do, especially if I'm over the 1950 for the month, which happens once in a while, and any issues on the hours being over 45. I'm not sure what I need to report, and when I get to the end of the year, if I'm over the 23.4, what documentation do I need in order to be able to show them what I worked each month, where I won't be a full year this year? Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, when you do self-employment, just with anything self-employment, doesn't matter what it is, self-employment is always kind of a nightmare to deal with anything. Okay, so if so, the first year you can do the monthly, and as long as once you start receiving your Social Security checks, you earn under 1950 for every month going forward, then you're good. With the whole gig economy and everything, sometimes you can kind of average some, like sometimes if you receive, 2 checks or 3 checks in a month instead, but you receive the previous month only 1 check because of the way the checks fall or whatever the case may be, sometimes they can average that type of stuff. But in terms of self-employment, in terms of all that, the number one thing they look at is how much you made. If you make over $23,400, you don't have to do anything. Once your employer and everything, you do well, you're your employer. You're doing a 1099, it sounds like. So you have to file taxes yourself. So it's $23,400 net income. So it's not total wages, how much you make. It's because you're self-employed, it's net income. Net after, your expenses. So I'm sure you got expenses, whatever gig thing you're doing. So if that's over $23,400, then what will happen is once Social Security is notified by the IRS, once you file your taxes, then they will look at it. And if it's, $2,000 over, they're going to send you a bill for $1,000. They're going to say, hey, you made, $2,000 over. We're going to hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. And you just deal with it at that time. And in terms of all the rest, the 45 hours, that one gets kind of confusing. It really depends on your particular situation. You can go onto my website, click on the Social Security and drop down a little retirement thing there, click on the working and benefits. And at the very bottom, it says, how does self-employment affect my benefits? And it gives you all this what counts as substantial earnings. And there's 3 different examples there. Whether it's more than 45 hours, not substantial, less than, more than, so just check those out. But for all intents and purposes, the most important thing is whether you're going to be over the 23,400. And if you get over the 23,400, click on the overpayments there, and it'll tell you your options in terms of pay the amount in full, appeal it. It gives you all the forms there, your appeal rights, and all the rest of it. So, yeah, pretty easy. You don't have to do anything. Just keep on keeping on, and remember, you don't have to. They'll send you the bill. So Social Security always does this, and you'll get the bill in February, March, April, June, July, or whenever after you file your taxes. And then Social Security will look at it, and then a month or 2 months, 3 months later, send you that bill and says, hey, you went $2,000 over, you owe us $1,000, send us a check. I always say pay it in full. You don't have to pay it in full. I think nobody pays it in full. Set up a payment plan. Now you can do it 60 months interest-free. I think there's some talk about there charging interest, but as of right now, it's interest-free. So just keep on keeping on there. And this young man left a nice little second video for us.
Hey, Ed, this is Kevin from Portland. Wanted to leave you a great big thank you and let everybody know, if you haven't been watching Ed, you should be. I tell all my friends to go here to get all the great answers that you have. So many of us has benefited, me personally and my friends, that I say, hey, watch this guy. He's got answers to all your questions. Again, thank you. Great content. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Hey, Ed.
Yeah, I didn't mean to play that again. I'm terrible at taking praise. I get embarrassed and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. I'm surprised I even played that one. So I hate. All right. All right. Here's another one. Someone's shy. They didn't show themselves, but that's fine.
Hi, Dr. Ed. Thank you for your service and wealth of information you provide us. I am 17 years old and began collecting my Social Security at my full retirement age. I have a son with a mental illness who has worked, but whose condition does not permit him to work any longer. He has been disabled since the age of 15 and began SSI at 19 years of age. Is he eligible to collect 50% of my Social Security PIA benefit? If so, we are being told by the administration he is not eligible because he worked 1 year and earned more than $17,000. Is there a cap? It sounds like he's being penalized for attempting to go back to work. We've applied for SSDI and are being told since he's worked in the past, he should be able to continue to work. Our problem is he's unable to work for a long period of time. Can you offer any advice, options, or resources to assist him? Thank you again, and we appreciate your help.
Okay. Yeah, that's you actually applied. So anybody that tells you anything from the Social Security Administration verbally, you call or go to a window or something like that, and someone tells you something, that means nothing. I mean, in terms of a decision, an official decision. So the first part of your question, it sounds like someone just told you something, but it sounds like you actually did file and they gave you a decision. Hopefully they'll send you a letter, a decision letter, and it'll say, okay, the reason you're denied is because of X, Y, Z. That's an official decision. On that one, I would definitely fight it because that sounds like what's called a UWA, an unsuccessful work attempt. Social Security wants people to go out there and try to work, try it. Anybody can work. Anybody can get a job. Nowadays on online or, people that are, bedbound, they can do stuff on, do answer calls or do something like that. Almost anybody can get a job. Whether you can keep it for more than 5 minutes, that's the issue. So some people, if you even you have some issue where you have to go to the bathroom 20 times a day, and it's like, well, yeah, you can get a job, but after a week, you're just like, yeah, you can't keep it. So anybody can get a job. That's not necessarily prevent you from getting Social Security disability benefits. It's whether you could work substantially over essentially a long period of time and support yourself. So 1 year shouldn't make a difference for him. And it was great that he went out there and tried it and, it did everything, but just not able to do it. And that shouldn't be held against him. So if you actually received an official decision letter, you really need to appeal it. You 100% need to appeal it. Anytime Social Security or any Medicaid or anything, anybody gives you a decision, government or whoever, Medicare Advantage, whatever the case may be, decide something and you disagree with it, please, 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 please fight it. And how do you do it in terms of this? You go onto my website, click on the appeals, and it gives you your appeals process. So in terms of the 4 levels of appeal, you have the reconsideration. I've got the little form down there, super easy to fill out. And most of the time you have like 60 days after you receive your decision to file a reconsideration and appeal. But there's good cause where you can say, well, I'm late because of this, that, or the other. So I would definitely, if it's over 60 days, they give you 5 days, kind of, mail, 65 days. So if you disagree with it and it's over the 60, 65 days, then add a good cause statement. And yeah, hopefully they approve that one, and then they take you to that second level appeals, which is the reconsideration phase. And then if you lose there, then you're going to go to the administrative law judge. And then the next stage is the appeals council review. And then the final stage is a federal court review. But I would definitely do it. And because, you're basically saying that your son became disabled before the age of 22. And if it's proven that he became disabled before the age of 22, no matter if you work later, that's great for trying, but it was an unsuccessful work attempt. And then, yes, a disabled adult child, a DAC, can get benefits on the parent's record, 50% or up to 75% as a surviving child. Survivor benefits are, surviving spouse, surviving child, that type of situation is 75% child in care. Take and took. Between the big, beautiful bill and tariffs messing with tax revenues available for Social Security and Medicare, and HR 1319 of 2025 threatening to make employees into independent contractors, we all need to call our politicians. Yeah, there is. Again, there was the frontal assault to just give Social Security over to Wall Street, but we said no on that one. So they're doing kind of the backhand way of doing it, backdoor way of cutting the money that goes into Social Security in different ways. Tariffs cause increased inflation, which causes more COLAs, which is more depletion of the Social Security Trust Fund. Not taxing people, that's less going into FICA. So there's multiple attacks on Social Security, and there's the attacks on your local Social Security office that they're not providing support for you to get those benefits, whatever is left over. So yeah, you definitely need to reach out to your politicians and tell them. So it has to do with a certain segment of people making super high wages while the else isn't. We are more productive. Yes. Sounds like a regular viewer to my channel. I've got, let me see if I can find the little graphic that you're talking about. Yes. So this is the issue with Social Security. So this blue line here is our wages, regular us. Our wages have been pretty much stagnant, adjusted for inflation since the 1980s. But our productivity, this maroon line up here, that our productivity has been, going through the roof. So we've been producing more and more and more. Each of us had been producing more and more and more, making more and more profits, but we don't get anything. Where does it go? Guess what? It goes to the top 10%, and they don't pay into Social Security like we do. So people say, well, it's because we're not having babies and all that kind of stuff. No, I mean, okay, that's fine. But if we were paid what we earned, what we produced, then we would pay more into Social Security, and Social Security would be good for another 75 years or so. But yeah, that's not happening, unfortunately. So Butch, 40 trillion in taxable retirement accounts. That is 8 trillion in taxes. Take 50% of that taxable amount and shore up the trust fund. Yeah, that's one of the things that people always argue. Well, if you raise the taxes on the super, super rich, it doesn't matter because they don't really pay into, they don't get regular wages like we do. Correct. But most of the ones that are looking to, smash the cap, the FICA cap, take that into consideration. And, unearned income and all that other kind of stuff. And they say, well, why should we be taxed on unrealized gains, on unrealized income? Well, the rest of us have to do it. It's called real estate taxes. We didn't sell our house, but we still have to pay real estate taxes. So I see Social Security can't borrow money, but everyone else can from Social Security. Yes, but they pay it back. Yes, Social Security, the Social Security trustees report that just came out, the interest. So we have the trust fund, and it's, remember old Jimmy Stewart and It's a Wonderful Life, where, the money's not in the safe. it's being loaned out to different places, but we're getting interest on it, right? So the trust fund is a trust fund. And we are loaning that money out to different places, to the federal government, yes, but they are paying interest. In 2024, they paid $63 billion of interest. So we are getting our money back on that. So, and I mean, I guess one thing, if interest rates go up, then we're actually going to make more money on that. So let's see here. Who's getting Social Security that didn't put in it? Well, there are people that receive Social Security that didn't get put in. Children who lost their parents, spouses who did not work, but they supported their spouse who did work, and they get spouse's benefits even though they didn't get paid into it. Yeah. So there are people that get Social Security that didn't pay into it. Yep. Then the government needs to pay back Social Security. They do. They, again, $63 billion, in interest, they paid all the money back and with interest. So it's, yeah, that's another, on my website as well, I have those myths, because it's so prevalent, all of these myths, and that's the number one thing is we need to start being serious and start having a serious conversation. So I've got a section on my website of common myths. The trust fund was stolen, it's going bankrupt, and all this kind of stuff. That's 100% incorrect. Social Security will be around here for hundreds of years unless we decide to give it over to Wall Street, but we are going to get a cut because of the trust fund running out. But Social Security, people are still going to pay Social Security. Yeah. Should we be advocating for a lump sum payout of Social Security before it all goes away? I mean, no, I don't think we should be that pessimistic. I think we can possibly do something to, yeah. They've been taking Social Security for years. Yeah, no, we've been loaning money and getting it back in interest. So, yeah. Let's see. I've got some other questions here. How much is the COLA going to be next year? That is a question, is it? That's another thing social media people will do out there on a regular basis is they talk about COLA every single day of the year. And nobody knows what COLA is until the first week in October. So any talk of COLA, how much is going to be for 2026 is all just, clickbait, social media people. Because we don't know. COLA is based on the third quarter of last year, so 2024, and then they base it from 2024. They compare it with 2025, and they say, oh, okay, so inflation went up 2.3%, so therefore we'll give about 2.3% COLA. So we don't know any of that until October. So yeah, any talk of it before is, yeah, just BS. Scrap the cap. Yes. Stop giving Social Security to people who did not pay into it. So children that lost their parents should no longer receive Social Security benefits. All right. I hit the cap in June, remove the cap. Oh, sure. So yes. So there are some, whether they call it patriotic millionaires who are talking about, hey, this country has been good to us. We hit the lottery when we were born in this country, and all of the the benefits and the opportunities and stuff. And therefore, social is it's not a retirement account; it's Social Security. I call it the second Department of Defense, because if you look at history, if we look at any country in the history of the world. Usually they decline from the inside before they're attacked from the outside. So you've got the Department of Defense, but to secure society, we need to take care of the most vulnerable among us. And it started in the Great Depression specifically for that. Are we able to work if able, possibly online if there is a cut? Well, you can work now. Remember, anytime if you're receiving regular retirement benefits before your full retirement age, you're allowed to work $23,400 up to. After your full retirement age, you can make $1 billion a month. Doesn't hurt your Social Security benefits at all. If you're receiving Social Security disability insurance, you're even allowed to work. A lot of limitations there, a lot of rules and regulations. I've got all of that out on my website because it's so kind of crazy. But yeah, on almost all Social Security programs, you're allowed to work. You just have to stay within the required limitations. So you think stay-at-home moms should not get Social Security? Yeah, so that's another thing. It's yeah, I think they every now and then what some economist does an analysis of stay-at-home parents, and considering how much they provided Uber rides and cooking and cleaning and education and psychological management and all that. They said if you actually went out into the economy and hired someone to do all those chores, that person you'd have to pay about $100,000. So stay-at-home parents should get at least $100,000. The last time I saw that study was like about 10, 20 years ago. So it might be $200,000 now. So I can't. My SSI is some type of social experiment. SSI, okay. SSI is supplemental security income. That's the needs-based program that Social Security administers. A lot of people miss that and think it means Social Security income. No, it's supplemental security income. It's a welfare-based program Social Security administers. So tax the ultra-rich and the largest corporation. Not difficult. Yep. Yeah, it's not difficult at all. Make them pay exactly the same percentage we do. But politically, super, super difficult. Yeah. Janice, call your local county office for SNAP and find out what the problem is. Thank you, Pink Owl, for looking out after our community here. So it looks like someone's having a problem. We're working on, our community is working on an issue, on a program now to help out. Who is it? Janice there. So hopefully it comes up here. But if you've got, somebody struggling like Janice there, there's all kinds of different programs. You got supplemental security income, which I just talked about, SNAP, which is food stamps, Medicare savings program. This one is going to take a big hit on the big, beautiful bill. The Medicare savings program is for those people that are having a hard time paying that $185 Part B premium. So if you know anybody like that, please reach out to them and say, hey, there's this thing called the Medicare savings program. And what you do is you call your Medicaid office, your state Medicaid office, you apply for Medicaid. And if they approve you at the higher levels, they will actually pay for your Part B premium, $185. And what we're seeing is, unfortunately, that one's going to take a big hit with a big, beautiful bill. And it might take a hit sooner rather than later. When they, after it's called the unwinding, during the pandemic, states couldn't kick you off of Medicaid. But then when the pandemic ended, they unwound that and people are being kicked off left and right. And there's studies that show 69% of those that were kicked off of Medicaid were actually eligible for Medicaid. Because they, the office, the Medicaid office, your local human health and services or division of, welfare division or whatever it's called in your state, they messed up the paperwork, or you forgot to sign in a particular place or date in a particular place or mark this box or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of people that were kicked off that shouldn't have been. And with the big, beautiful bill coming up, I think that's going to be the same type of situation going forward. But we are going to come up with a plan to make sure that doesn't happen. So, and we are coming up with a plan. So. Husband passed away. I'm a stay-at-home mom for 23 years, not eligible for benefits until 62. That is incorrect. For survivor benefits, you can collect benefits at 60 years old. So in terms of, just regular spouse benefits from, someone that's still out there, you have to wait till 62. But for survivor benefits, you can start survivor benefits at 60. And was it Jess mom? You're in the boat with a lot of people that they lose 2 years of benefits because they think they can't start until 62. So please press subscribe and like and share and all that kind of good stuff so we get the information out there so people like Jess mom know about that. And if you're disabled, you can actually start benefits at 50 years old. So it's called DWIB. Disabled Widows Benefits. So between 50 and 59, if you're disabled, you can collect disabled widows benefits from another person's record. So that's, you don't have to work. That's what someone says if you didn't pay into it, you shouldn't get it. Well, disabled widows, if you got a husband and wife, let's say, and the husband passes away, and the husband has always been the breadwinner because the wife is disabled or vice versa or whatever, then that person passes away. We should just leave the disabled widow, homeless. No, I think we're better than that. So between 50 and 59, but regular survivor benefits at 60. So how long does it take to receive a decision after a hearing? Wow. After an administrative law judge hearing, sometimes judges, the ALJs, they will kind of give you a hint during the hearing. So if you've already had your hearing, then they might have already told you, given you a hint. But what happens is the judge has to actually make the decision, and then they send it to a writer who actually writes up the decision. They send it back to the judge, and the judge signs off on it. And then they send that to your local office or the regional office. Well, Elon Musk and Doge pretty much shut down all the regional offices. So it used to take about a month or two, but now all bets are off because Social Security just doesn't have the staff. So reach out to your politicians and say, hey, I've been waiting. If you're at the hearing stage, you've already been waiting a year or two. So you shouldn't have to wait anymore. Call your politicians and say, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you supporting Social Security? Why does it take so long to get in and on the phone, to get decisions, it's completely unacceptable. So what is your website? Someone said it's mygovexpert.com, mygovexpert.com. So the politicians are useless. Yeah. I turned 62 in 2020 and waited for my full retirement age in 2025. When will I see these previous COLAs? They're already in there. Yeah. People always ask about those. COLAs are already in there. Anytime COLA is determined by, in October, they immediately tell, okay, we did the calculations. It's going to be 3.1%. And then Social Security takes every single record in the country and then multiplies it by the 3.1%, and everybody gets the COLA. So yeah, there's no chance you didn't. It's automatically baked into the system. So someone says I'm getting $4,615. So that is a very, very high PIA, primary insurance amount from Social Security. So that means you worked a couple hours in your life because Social Security looks at your high 35 years of earnings. So you pretty much maxed out every single year for those 35 years. And you probably waited till after your full retirement age to get those delayed retirement credits. So I have MS. How long on average does it take to get Social Security disability after applying? Right now, 6 to 9 months to get a decision. MS, is, it's hard to diagnose and everything. So those usually take a little bit longer than some other ones. Mental issues, back issues, fibromyalgia, MS, those take a little bit longer to adjudicate and to get a decision. But check out my video or check out my YouTube or check out my website. And it's got all kinds of different tips, tricks, and secrets to help you make sure you're getting along. I'm going to be 67 in November. I was hoping to work till 72, but after listening to you, I should, and then it ends there. I should claim now, and if I claim, can I still be able to work? Okay, so yeah, if you're going to be 67 in November, once you hit your full retirement age, you can make $1 billion a month, and Social Security doesn't care anymore. It doesn't negatively affect your benefits whatsoever. If you were going to work till 72, hopefully you weren't going to wait to collect your Social Security till 72 because you'd be losing 2 years of benefits. Social Security maxes out at 70 years old. So the month you turn 70, it no longer increases because of any, delay of, starting those benefits. It'll increase COLA, obviously. But yeah, nobody should take their benefits after 70 years old. You should take your benefits at 70. You should not wait till after that because you're losing money. So when you start your benefits, completely your decision. If you want to wait till 70 to get those max, delayed retirement credits, then more power to you. If you don't necessarily need the money, but if you need the money, and yes, a lot of people are saying, hey, with the cuts that are inevitable, it's going to hurt my benefit in the future. So I might as well start getting those, getting 100% check now versus starting later and getting that 23% cut. Yeah. If I sell my house, will I lose my SSDI? No, SSDI has nothing to do with your house. You can have $1 billion in the bank account and it does not affect your Social Security disability insurance at all. No effect whatsoever. The only thing that affects SSDI is work, earning wages, earning anything from work, actual working, earned income. Any unearned income, selling your house, winning a lottery, gambling, any earnings or anything like that doesn't count unless you're a professional gambler. Yes. But no, selling a house won't affect your SSDI. It might affect your Medicare. It's the thing called IRMA. You pay an extra Part B premium if you're one of the high wage earners. And selling a house, unfortunately, that money is included in there. But that won't affect your Part B premium until 2 years after. So I was told to see a doctor before I can get disabled off 4.5 years. I'm not sure about the 4.5 years or whatever, but if you're going to file for disability, do not wait to see a doctor. If you think you're disabled and unable to work because of that disability, don't wait, file. Because as I just said, it takes, months and months and months to get a decision. Why wait another week or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months before you see some doctor or something? File the application, get it started, get it in the pipeline. And then if you have a doctor's appointment next month, then, send the paperwork up there then. That's the way you do it. And say, or when you file your application, say, hey, next month I'm going to have, an appointment with my doctor. And here's the doctor's name and here's what I'm going to see that doctor for and everything. So, but make sure that those documents get up to, it's called DDS, Disability Determination Service. Those are the people that actually make the medical decision. So you file at your local Social Security office, they look at everything, check everything, and then once it's all good, then they send it to the state agency, Disability Determination Services. So once you file, I'm coming up with my new website we're coming up with a kind of a timeline, a tracker on this thing. But once you file, then about 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks later, I would call the state agency and just say, hey, talk to your disability examiner and say, yeah, hopefully you got my case up there. If you need anything, the address and the phone number is correct. Give me a call. By the way, I'm going to be seeing another doctor. Here's how do you get the medical records up there. Tell them to send you the barcode. And what they'll do is they'll mail you a barcode. And then anytime you have any documents, you fax, yes, they're fax. You fax those documents to the DDS and you put that barcode as the front page. And that way that barcode immediately routes your medical documents or whatever documents you have right into your medical file up in the state. So that's the best way to do it. Regular old mail sometimes, yeah, is kind of iffy. What is the estimated time for reconsideration for disability? About the same time as an initial claim. So they're basically doing the initial claim twice, only just another person is doing it. So another 6 to 9 months, which, as we used to say in the Marine Corps, is completely unsatisfactory. So you need to reach out to your politicians. And yeah, for some reason, your questions aren't coming up on the screen there, so I'm just reading them. I worked hard and my income was too high for their liking, and now we're getting punished with the IRMA. Okay, yeah, so that's the income-related monthly adjustment amount I was just mentioning. So you can appeal an IRMA. Go onto my website again, mygovexpert.com, and click on the Medicare there. Click on Medicare and IRMA. So here's the thing about selling a house, and there's certain exclusions, but you can fight it if you, let's say you worked 2 years ago and you made over the limit. And since then you have stopped working. You have what's called a life-changing event. So you have to file an SSA 44, SSA 44, and it's a life-changing event. And it says, you just got this letter that says, hey, we're going to charge you an extra $100, $200 for your Part B premium every month. And you say, why? And they say, well, because you made a whole bunch of money 2 years ago. And then you just file that SSA 44 that says, yeah, I made that whole bunch of money 2 years ago, but then I have since stopped, or I lost that income, or whatever the case may be. And then they can reverse that and give you all your money back if they approve it. So there's that. All right, we are at an hour, and I think that's it for the day. Hopefully we've dispelled some of the internet myths out there about all things Social Security. We need to get serious about saving Social Security, and all of these BS on both sides definitely ain't helping. So hopefully y'all can go out there and spread the truth, and we can actually do something to make sure we don't get those cuts in the future. I'll be back again tomorrow, answer a whole bunch of questions. Remember, go onto my website, mygovexpert.com. On the bottom of the left, you'll see a little phone or a little camera icon. It says question or comment. You click on that, and you can record up to a 2-minute video and ask me anything you want. I love the video questions. So if you do a video question today, I will answer it tomorrow. So, or if you disagree with something I said, you disagree that I say Trump was responsible or Biden was responsible or Social Security Fairness Act or whatever, then make a video of it and state your case, and I will respond.